Hi all, welcome back on my channel. Today I want to share with you some CAD information, and when you want to make some CNC machining, you know, CAD and the CAM software are very useful. The one I want to share with you today is FreeCAD. So let me show you the website. So freecad.org, and as you can see, you have the website here. So you click on the website, and arriving on it, you have several options. So on the left side, you can find an option here with the download, and if you click on download, you have a lot of information about the download. The first thing that you have to know, there is several, stage of this software. So the first one is that it's called the stable FreeCAD version, and on this stable FreeCAD, you have information for Windows, for Ubuntu, and also for macOS. And if you want to have the last up-to-date information and development regarding the software, you can use also the daily packages, and where you have a very last piece of software. And you have to know also that FreeCAD is under heavy development, so it does mean that you can sometimes have some concern on some bug, especially with the daily packages. But from my side, I use it from several years, and it works very nice. And if you do have some question, and if you want to know how to use it, you have a lot of information about getting started, and also some future description. You have also some documentation that is very useful when you search for a certain topic. And what is also very useful from my side is the forum. So on the forum, basically there is a different section. So the user section is on the main things, and you have, for example, future announcements, where you can find some very interesting things regarding new developments about the software and where they are published. And then you have regarding developments things about technicals, Workbench. FreeCAD is based on the Workbench, and we are going to go through in a couple of minutes. But if you have special question regarding the Workbench, you have information here inside the dedicated forum, and also you have several languages that are managed in the software. So you have the French, Dutch, Spanish, you have Italiano, the Japanese forum, the Russian forum, and a lot of them. So it's pretty useful, and it's a great community working on this software. And inside the FreeCAD software, you have a Workbench that is called Path, and it is the CAM, the CAM option for these things. So I will show you, on several videos how you can, very easily make some CAM softwares. So I use, the two type of FreeCAD, so the stable one and the last up-to-date one. And that I like with the last up-to-date is make some testing regarding new things that are developed with the team. And the stable version is used when I make some quite long design, to be sure that I will not lost any information. And to give you an overview of what you can do, I will open a file. It's let's say quite simple files. You will see the website of people are making a great design, but it's a simple thing that can be interesting. So this one is a milling head, and if you want to see here, so I hide a part of the milling head that is the cover, and basically you have an electric motor here, as you can see in gray, and below the motor you have a pulley that you can see here, and you have another pulley here. You have a belt, and the green piece here is a kind of beam that I want to use to make these parts. You have plates, so here you have some bearings, here you have a shaft. So it's very easy to create such thing, and I want to show you with let's say some very simple example, and going for one and to go for more complex parts. But I want to show you that it's not very complicated, and you have to understand some very basic things. And when you are making machining, those basic things for the 3D modeling are quite the same. So I will close this file and show you how you can start with this piece of software, and to provide you more information. So when you launch it for the very first time, you have a start page where you can find different type of information, and if you click on this kind of icon, you will create a new file, and it is a new design or a new part for you. The thing that it can help also is this one. If you go inside help and you go about FreeCAD, you will have some information about the version. So this one is the 17, the last revision, and also the last date. So you can see here, so it's March 9, so it's a very up-to-date version. It's 64 bytes, and it's helpful to have the to know what is the kind of revision you use, because when you have some concern and you go on the phone, you have to pass those information, because you have different type and a lot of type of FreeCAD, and some concern are already fixed, another one are not. So that's why you have to show the proper version of FreeCAD. So if you are going through the software, this type of icon are mainly to deal with new file, open a new file. This one create a new file, this one save a file, this one is mainly to print. Here you have the let's say the copy and paste information. Here it's undo and redo information, and here you have something very interesting. And if you click on this box, you have a lot of that we call workbench, and each workbench provides some function, and it's a very powerful tool. You can work with mechanical things, you can create a house, you can work with beams, so whatever you want. You can work with a robot, you can make some part design, you can make some drawing. So at the beginning, you have to understand which kind of workbench you have to use. So basically at the beginning, the workbench that is useful to create parts are part design and parts. They are the two ones that you will use at the very first time to create your new design. And we will go through the other one, but those two ones are the more important at the very beginning when you want to make a design. Here you have some icon regarding macro. So FreeCAD is so powerful that you can also create some macro. You can write some macro in Python, and if you go on a website, you will see that a lot of guys already made some very nice tool with the macro. So it's a way to add new feature in the system, and the community already posted a lot of macro in that. Then here you have information regarding the view and the way you want to see the part. Here, for example, is dot, or it's a 3D representation of the part. And then here you will have to deal with the way to see the part. So this one is a 3D view, this one is a face view, top view, right view, and so on. So it helps you to navigate regarding the part. So when you start a new design, and I will show you one example and two tips to make it. So I will go first with what is the more common way to create a 3D parts. And when you want to create a 3D parts, you have to think with adding material or removing material. And it's the same thing like when you make some machining operation. In machining operation, you remove material, but in the software you can remove and add material. So basically, it's the way that you are making some 3D designing about a part. So let's say that we will create a plate with 4 holes on each corner, you know, and with a pocket in the middle. So there is several ways to make the things, and you know, at the end the result will be the same, but there are some you know, ways that are more efficient than the other one. So let's start with the first you know, the first way of doing. So you have to activate the part design, and you know, part design provide you, as you can see, some new new tools here, and you can work, you know, with the parts more easily. So in FreeCAD, and especially on 0.17, you have first to create a body, and a body will contain a lot of information about a part. So it's what we do first. We create, you know, a body, and you have here, you know, two windows to navigate. So here on the model, you will have the detail about all information. So son nom means it's the name of the file here, that's it's not already saved, and I will put, you know, a name, so it will be more helpful for you to understand. And body is the body that we created, and if we are looking to the body, we see that there is some origin information. So the first thing first, we are going to, you know, to save our file. So let's say I save the file. So I have a lot of information. Let's say tutorial 1, and now you can see here that the name of this window has changed. It's tutorial 1, and also here, you know, in this window, tutorial 1 is name and body is here. If you want to change the name of body, you can do it with rename, and let's say parts testing. And as you can see now, we have a body that the name is part testing. So body is the same icon line here, and we have a tutorial. So if we want to create, you know, any kind of shape in 3D modeling, we need to start with a sketch, and the sketch are here. It's a small, you know, icon. If you click on it, you can see that it offers you some view, and it already places the things, you know, in a plane. But if you want to see the things in 3D, you can see here that we have different plane. So this plane is the X and Y plane, so in the space. This one is X and Z. So you can choose the plane on which you want to work, and so the last plane is here. So so you see the YZ plane, the XZ plane, and the YX plane. So depending on the way you want to work, and you know, with some experience, you will know that if it is better to work with the XZ, XY, and so on. But at the beginning, always start with the X and Y plane, and do not make things too complicated. So you can select either the plane here, and when you select here, it goes green, and it selects also in the windows here, and you say OK. So it does mean that now we are making some drawing inside this plane. So I say OK, and now I'm working, you know, in X and Y coordinates. So you can use a grid. So you activate a grid here, and you can change also the square of the grid in this one. So with the bench, you have let me show you, the tool. So there is some tools coming with this type of bench that you can use in a very efficient way. Let me move this one. Okay, I want this one here, and basically I will hide this one, but because it's more interesting. Basically, when you work with a sketch, you have two type of things. You have some geometrical things like a circle, like a square or rectangle, or like a line, or like dirt. So you have to start with the very basic geometric things, and then we will put some dimension and constraint on it. So the constraints are put here. So as we discussed, we say that we want, to put a plate. So here it is a plate. So I take this rectangle option, and then what I can do, I can put some constraint. So constraint can be some dimension, or also some symmetry, and things like that. So for example, if I want those 2 points symmetrical with the y-axis, you have the axis here, show here, the y-axis here, and the axis here. So you select, first point, select the second one, then you select the axis, and you say to the machine, I want to have a symmetry with those 2 points. When you click on it, automatically it puts the constraint, and you can see here that I have now 3 degrees of freedom. So I need to go further to properly design the sketch. So let's say that I want also some symmetry with those 2 points regarding the x-axis. I click the 2 points, I click the x-axis, and then I click on the symmetry. So now I place, in a certain way, I place the rectangular in the coordinate system, but now I need to give the dimension of the length and height of these things. So I select one dimension, and I say horizontal dimension, and let's say 35, for example. And for the height, I do the same thing, or you can do in different way. You can take one point, the other point, and use this type of dimension. It works the same way, and let's say 20. And now you see that all my geometric line go to green, and here it's green, and it means that everything is properly defined in the space, so I can work with it very easily. What I draw here was some useful external dimension of the plate, but I can make some drawing with some constructive information. For example, if you click here, I say to the machine that what I want to create is not something that I will see. It's not a geometrical things. It's only a construction things. So let's do another rectangle. So you see it's blue, and blue means that it will not be visible when the part will be finished. But it helped me to create some dimension inside the other parts. So at this step I create another rectangle. What I want, I place a symmetry with the symmetry with the y axis. There it is, a symmetry with the x axis, to be sure that I start to define properly. And that I want to be sure that the distance around all those parts are the same. So here is one way to do it. I take a line, join the 2 points, and do the same thing here. I join the 2 points, and I say that those 2 lines need to have the same length. So I will click on the equal sign. So they do not appreciate something, okay. And the last thing that I will have to do, so you require me to modify something is not agree with constraint this one, so I remove the excess. The same thing for the 17. Okay, here it is. And so now that I want to make, I will put an angle between those two lines at 55 degrees. Same thing here, 55 degrees. Thing 0 is already done, and now I will only put a dimension here for example, let's say 10. So too big, so dimension of 5. Here it is. So I create a box where the position is precisely done on the X and Y plane, and what I can do now, I can put, you know, some circle that will be, you know, the holes of the plate. So I go back, you know, with this button is like a toggle button. I go back to the proper, you know, construction tool. I put, you know, four holes. I will reduce a little bit this dimension, okay, and I will say that those 4 circles will have the same radius. So yes, I want the same radius, and say, let's say 1.5. So as you can see here, I define, you know, a rectangle that is the outside of my plate. I put some circle, and everything is green except the blue line that is construction line. So I can say close now, and as you can see, we only see the green line. So at this step we define you know, a surface in a X and Y plane. You can see here, you know, where are the X and the axis, and we put some holes and with some circle. So if you select the sketch and you go, you know, here you have a lot of different options, and one is protrusion, and if I click on it, you already see that the machine starts with the face we define here on the X and Y axis, and put some material on it. So let's say we put 5 millimeters, and as you can see, we already create, you know, a plate with 4 holes, and the dimension of the holes were already defined with our sketch. And what is very powerful with this kind of software is the fact that if you want to change something, so for example, let's say that the position of the hole is not good, we can change the position. So the best way to do it is to select, you know, the extruded you know, part, so the pad name, I had it with the space, then I go to sketch, I click 2 times on sketch and go back on what I defined, and we say that we want to modify, you know, the whole position. So let's say not 4 but 3 millimeters. So you can see that the holes change, but let's say that we change also the dimension of the hole and put a radius of 2 millimeters. So we increase, you know, the hole dimension, and we change also the position of the hole. Say close, go back to the pad, and you know, the modification is already made. So what is very, very powerful, as you can see on the solid here, I have only to modify, you know, the sketch, and things are modified directly on the part. So I start with a simple part, and I will show you another things that you can make on the 3D modeling. For example, let's say that on this plate, so let's put a correct name on the thing. So let's say plate, and we want to put a pocket. So as it will be a CNC machining operation, we can have some drilling operation on the forehole, and then we have a pocket. So the best way to do it is to select the face on where you want to work. So let's say that we want to work with this face. We click here with a new sketch, or you can also go here in task and click here new sketch, and then you are back on the X and Y plane. But if we go to the 3D, we are on the top of the part, because we select the top plane of these parts. So it does mean that we are working at a Z that is defined by the top plate. So let's go back to our model, and then we will have first to tell the software that we want to use the previous part. So you have here the symbol, and it's a good way to tell the system, I want to select this line that is the end of the plane, and I will select also this line. So it will help you and help the system to link all the geometrical things that we will create relative to the part that already exists. So it does mean when you will change the dimension for the part, for example, this link will be alive, and it will drive also the modification for the second sketch. So let's say that we have a pocket to place. So here it is, kind of pocket we want. So I use this thing, but you can do in the other way with arc and a line. This one is more, it's a quicker way to do it. Then I will say that I want to place on the x-axis this point. So I use point attached to a geometry. Then we have to put some dimension on it. The first thing I will say that I want this point and this point symmetric to the y-axis. It's choice. It could be different. You can put a dimension between those two one, and then we will put a radius here, for example. So let's say 5 millimeters, and then I have to put the last dimension here, for example, and say 11 millimeters. So the only thing that I made here, if I go to the 3D view, I define the two lines of the previous part to position my new geometric things relative to this one. And now, as everything is under good constraint, what I can do now, so let's go back, I can close this thing, and here you have a pocket, pocket operation. If I click on pocket, either you can go through the parts, or you can change the depths of the pocket. So let's say 3 millimeters, and as you can see, in a very easy step, I already create a part, as you can see here, with 4 holes and a pocket inside. For example, if I want to change the pocket dimension, so let's say we will make a smaller pocket, it's very easy. You have only to change this dimension. For example, let's say 6 millimeters. So you can see that the pocket already changed. I say close, and as you can see here, the part is already update with the correct and new dimension. So 3D modeling is very simple, and as you can see, it's very powerful. So I show you some very basic things. I don't want to to go further about more information and let you do some work operation. And so for the next tutorial, I will show you another example of creating this part, but with a different way, and that is to give the same results, but it's let's say less effective about the result, but works also very nice. So I will save this part. Thanks for watching, stay tuned, and see you next week.